Welcome to the Tangent Gentleman, where each week Scott and I start with a topic from the previous episode, then we see where the conversation takes us. Along the way, a question, idea, or disagreement sparks a tangent, and that tangent will be the next week's discussion. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, Brad. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I hear you had a little adventure.
Yeah, you asked me about camping, and it kind of... all right, so here we go. This is, you could call this destiny, I guess.
Okay.
We got the Heart River that runs around here, and I drove over it the other day, and I saw this house, and it looked like it had a campground next to it. And I was thinking, I need to see if those people would let me hunt and fish down here and on that property. And the very next day, I was working with Tia, and this old man walks in, and it's the old guy that lives in that house.
Man, that's wild. Well, does this go back to urban versus rural? Is this just an urban thing?
And
you run into all 200 people in Carson already.
And he's got a cabin that he built about a half mile from the road. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And he let me stay there for a couple nights. Cindy and I went out there and stayed in this cabin, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it's in the middle of about 4,000 acres.
Jeez.
The dark at night was just unbelievable. I mean, so Cindy and I went out at night and just looked up. And I remember when we used to go to Nolan Lake as a kid, it was kind of like that then. There's more lights down there now, so you don't get the same thing. But just so many stars. It was a perfectly clear night. And I don't remember this from when I was a kid, but you wouldn't believe how many satellites we saw. At any time, you'd see 10 satellites just going around, just going across everywhere.
Jeez. Yeah, I can believe it. Space junk.
Yeah.
So, wow.
So it was unbelievable looking up at the stars. We were hoping we could do it again the next night, but it was cloudy the next night and it didn't work out as well. But that was probably the highlight of the trip.
So does this cabin have like any services, or is it just...
No, it's got electric, and it has a shower. It was very comfortable.
Wow.
And it's sitting right on the Heart River. I caught a 21.5-inch smallmouth bass, which is a big smallmouth bass out of the river. Wow. So it was a great trip.
Yeah, sounds fun.
But tonight's topic, free will. You ready for this?
Oh, I think I'm ready. I don't know. Am I? Do I think I am, or am I really ready? All right. So we just got to get in it. Which way how did you go about this? That's what I'm curious to hear. Cause
Well, believe it or not, I guess cause we're such nerds, and you probably have too. I think about this quite a bit,
Okay. Yeah.
And, I don't think, I guess you have determinism on one side and free will on the other. And, I definitely I don't fall in which are you, this or that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's like a binary thing. So let me start with this. All right.
Okay.
I definitely know that, if I think back to my 3-year-old self on Scottsdale Boulevard in Louisville, Kentucky, and think about the path my life has gone up to the point I'm in now, I definitely know there is no way that I could have self-directed that and planned that out to make my life take that path.
Interesting.
I couldn't have planned it out if I wanted to with some of the things that happened. And there's a few specific things. Well, I don't know. But then on the other side, so I do know that. But then on the other side, I definitely think that moment to moment, I make choices, I make decisions about relationships, about work, about everything, moment to moment. But it just seems when I take a big view, the 100-foot view, zoom out on this, life just seems too complex and interconnected to everything to be totally self-determined.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not with you on that one.
Okay.
I think it's hard I get what you're saying from the 100-foot level, but if I look at it from the 10-foot level, I think you and I are a lot alike. Like we prepare ourselves, we educate ourselves, we avail ourselves of opportunities. And when those if and when those opportunities present, we have a plan. We have a system. We have not necessarily a system, but we have some ideas about okay, I'm going to do A, then B might happen. If I do C, D might happen. If I do J, K might happen. I think I prefer D, so I'm going to do C.
Okay.
And I think that is self-determination. I think that's the self-determination of getting informed and not just being willy-nilly, oh, well, we'll see what happens. I trust that some bigger power is going to direct me into a place.
Oh, no. I mean, I think, I'm not saying that you don't make decisions, you don't make choices, you don't analyze things. I definitely think you do that. What about those opportunities you're speaking of that come to you?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think makes those opportunities appear?
I think it's a combination of your preparedness or one's preparedness and one's performance in similar tasks. And you're in a position when a thing happens, how they appear is because of that.
Do you think other people's decisions might impact opportunities that are come before you?
Sure they do. But those decisions may or may not be, I would argue in some cases, they are directly related to your actions and your perceived actions from by these other people. I mean, you and I reconnecting on a professional level is exactly that to me.
Yeah.
I had a history with you, a work history with you. Positive. It was very positive. I left and went about to do something else, which was not very positive. We'll just leave it at that. And I reached out to you and said, hey, I'm kind of struggling with this. What are your thoughts on, what are some options? You dictated, if you want to argue that, my next 12 years. Because you knew of me and had a relationship with me and knew of my skill set and said, hey, you would be valuable in this setting. And that will serve your purposes as in terms of your staffing of your building, but also it will enrich the lives of these teachers and these kids. And so yeah, because you could have said, yeah, man, I'm not really into that. Sorry, I don't really want you. You left, you turned your back. What you could have taken it so many ways, but you absolutely dictated what happened to me, but you didn't do it blindly. And if I was a total goofball when we worked together initially, you'd be like, no, I like you, Scott, but no, sorry, man, I don't have anything right now.
Yeah.
So you definitely dictated that, but I would argue it was based upon my actions and our interactions. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So.
All right, let me ask you this. All right, you obviously didn't have any choice over who your parents were and when you were born, right?
To my knowledge, correct.
So, at what age? So you're born into this world, no free will, no self-determination. What age do you acquire free will? Or do you acquire free will? Do you get free will? Or is it something you develop? And at what age?
I think. Well, see, this gets back to my sort of research on this. If we want, let me take a step back.
Okay.
I think to answer your question, for me personally, somewhere between 7 and 10.
Okay.
Is when I decided I'm the youngest of 5. I started to see what was going on with my siblings and how they were living their lives and the choices they were making. And I thought, yeah, I like this facet of this person's existence. I don't like this facet of this other person's existence, or the same. I had a data set of 3. Really, my sister and I were very close in age, but I had a data set of 3 of people that were raised in the same house under primarily the same conditions, And I looked at each of them and said, hey, I like that this is this way. And I want to emulate that, or I want to know more about that. I like that. I don't like that this is this way. I want to try to stay away from that.
But I bet at that age, I bet you were being guided, conditioned. Let's use the word conditioned. I bet you were being conditioned by your parents that, hey, you might want to look at what this brother does, and because this is good and this is not, and this is.
See, I don't think so. I really don't think so. In my case, I don't think so. I mean, I can think back to conversations I had with my mom. Like, I remember things happening along the way.
So what at 6 years old was telling you that this is a good trait that this brother or sister has, and these are bad traits that this brother or sister has?
It wasn't really a
or actions
good or bad
whatever.
trait. It was just, I mean, like, she's a loyal listener, so I can give her a shout out. My oldest sister, like, loved to like read and like expand her world through reading. And I just thought that was so amazing because I'm like, I live in this shotgun house. We were relatively poor. And I got this thing. This is what I have. But if I read these books and read these stories, there's other worlds. I can imagine other worlds. And so that was the thing that for me, and I wasn't reading. I mean, she was way into Shakespeare. I was kind of like, at 7, I wasn't into Shakespeare. But the idea that the printed word could expand you, could expand your horizons, could provide you perspectives. Like, that was just a thing I wanted to be part of. I mean, she didn't really like set me. I mean, I'm sure she read to me. I'm sure she did. But, that didn't directly dictate what I did. And my parents sure did. I mean, I do remember my parents saying to me from a very early age, which is kind of amazing because both my parents were high school dropouts, you're going to college. You're going to go to college. We expect you to go to college. Like that. So to a certain extent, I guess that does fit into your point.
So what if you had no siblings that like to read, that you were born and all your siblings liked to, one of them liked to bake bread and the other liked to rob banks?
Yeah.
Do you think you would have been conditioned to something different then?
I mean, sure, possibly. But again, I guess we go back to, what do you mean by the conditioned and the free will? Because even if that was the case, I would have observed these are the pluses and minuses of the bank robber sibling. And these are the pluses and minuses of the bread baker sibling. And there would have been facets of both of those that I liked and didn't like.
But our moral standards are different everywhere, though, right?
You took a leap there. Moral standards? When do we get into that? That's a quantum leap.
You mentioned these are right, or like so. I'm just trying to think. If we say we're born into this world with no free will, okay, we agree there, right? And then you had.
I don't know if I agree there, honestly.
What kind of free will do you have as an infant? You don't know? You can't remember?
As much as I think it's. I think free will is so contextual. It's so much based upon the situation you're in and your free will to. So as a kid, as an infant, I could crawl to the couch or I could crawl into the other room. That's a free will. That's a choice, right? I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, you asked what free will I had as an infant, I would say that, within reason. I mean, presuming my parents didn't like put me in a little playpen and make me stay in one little spot, which I'm sure they did at some time. I don't know. I think when I was a child, we didn't have those kind of securities. It was just like,
yeah,
he'll figure out that's hot. He'll stay away from it, But
So have you ever
See,
had
okay.
have you ever had something happen to you at just the right time in your life, or had just the right person come into your life for some opportunity to present itself that there was no explanation for why it happened? Just kind of like random luck, you'd say?
Sure. Sure I have. But I've also interacted with thousands of people that meant nothing. Not that
Yeah.
they didn't mean anything. They're human beings. They mean something. But their experiences and their interactions with me have no real bearing on my next steps or my process or wherever I go next.
Yep.
So to me, I just put those in. They're in the same category, and whichever one you want to draw from. I mean, you could make So here's a case in point. If you want to make this case in point for my life. So as I don't know if you know this or not, but my first year of teaching, my mom got sick, and my mom died my first year of teaching, and that's a pretty traumatic event, obviously. Yeah. And I also met Erin, my wife, that first year of teaching, and her father died when she was in high school. So the fact that I met her and we had this shared experience of losing a parent, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, is that? I mean, to support your point, we taught together for 1 year. What was my alternative certification year at Fairdale, and her first year, and we never really interacted. But my mom was relatively, to my knowledge, was healthy then.
But to your point, you probably had interactions with a lot of other ladies at that time, and
yeah,
she was the one that you had that in common with.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my girlfriend before I met Erin, like her parents, her mother just died recently. Both her parents lived into their late 80s. So, I mean, but I don't know I don't know. I don't put that in the determining factor. I mean, it could have been, it was just a thing. I don't know.
All right. So at that exact moment that you met Erin and that you both found out you had this in common, at that exact moment that you decided, I don't know, maybe you're going to see her for coffee again or whatever it might be. The exact moment you made that decision, is there any chance that there might have been something that wasn't free will helping you make that? Biologically
Sure.
or something?
Yeah. I mean, we talk, she and I talk periodically, or we have talked about this idea that, and again, I know if for the, whatever number of listeners we have, I seem to always mention Bruce Springsteen, but there's a Springsteen song called Leap of Faith, and it, it takes a leap of faith to get things going. You got to show some guts. And I always think that about that. It took a leap of faith for me to say, hey, you want to go, go see, I think our first date may have been we went to a comedy club or something. For some reason, I think that's true. I don't know. But,
you'll never believe what mine and Cindy's first date was. It was a movie. You know what we went to see?
Rambo.
Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, wow. I'm sure that. Wow, that's something.
That's a great first movie to see.
Yeah, no doubt. Jeez. Okay, well, are you finished with your question? Because I got some thoughts that I researched that I wanted to.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm just trying. I'm still, trying to wrap my head around where I fall on the spectrum. I think it's a spectrum more than a binary system, but you're more of a either or.
Well, I don't know. I guess this is a binary point, and this isn't what I wanted to get to. But let me talk about this real quick. So, do you believe in providence? Do you believe that there is a God, a supreme being that plans your life?
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Okay. Because I don't either. I mean, to me, I don't either. So
no.
Yeah. So speaking of God, when I first started looking into this, I went back to my, Catholic upbringing, and are you familiar with Thomas Aquinas?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know that,
Yeah.
right? So I went down that path. Like what? Because that was a big issue with him. It's like, do Christians have free will?
Mhm.
Catholics, do we have free will? And went down into looking into sort of his writings and the ideas of that. And his argument is sort of to me, it was sort of a yes and a no. Because it was, yes, you do, but only by the grace of God. That God grants you that free will. But to me, it's kind of a cheat, kind of a get around.
Yeah.
A little bit. So, but, and then.
So what is that? It's okay. So where does that, how does that practically fit into daily living?
That, well, I think that you should adhere to this moral compass that is given to you by the grace of God. And therefore you can do that. You can do whatever you want, and that's what I said. To me, that's kind of why it's a cheat around, because it's like, you can do whatever you want, but you need to recognize that your ability to do whatever you want comes by the grace of God, which to me is sort of you can do whatever you want, but God would prefer if you did this, Yeah. So that the other one, you said something that prompted me on this one. You mentioned that Neil deGrasse Tyson did a thing you saw something he talked about free will. Did you go back and watch that? Or
no, I haven't before this, but I remember watching that. Okay.
So I went back and looked at that. I found that and looked at it because I hadn't seen it before. And I don't know if it was the same one, but it was three people. Mm-hmm. It was him and another physicist and then the moderator talking about
the moderator
physics.
He was pretty funny, wasn't
he? Yeah. I think he may have been a comedian. I didn't know who he was, but but the idea of one of the other physicists, not Tyson, but the other one, he was arguing that we absolutely have free will.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson was arguing that we don't have free will because of the rules of physics.
Laws of nature.
Of physics. The laws of nature.
Yeah.
Like basically, nature tries to do two things. It tries to increase randomness and it tries to lower the energy of all interactions. And so that's what dictates what will happen. And everything you do is everything you do. And back to your point earlier, every opportunity that's ever presented to you had already adhered to those laws of the universe.
Yeah.
So the things that happen to you that seem random are not random. They're just following the rules of the universe.
Well, yeah. And that's kind of, that's large scale, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, really, it is. You're right. It is universal. Correct,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't. So I wonder if you pushed him on like the small scale, like on the individual level, like you as Scott Snyder, where he would fall on that. Because I kind of agree with that. I think large scale, I think there are just things that are going to happen because they have to, because of physics or laws of nature or whatever you want to say. But that's like large scale.
Yeah. But the interesting part, the other physicist argued that while he accepted that and recognized the universe, the laws of the universe, he also said there is that 10% sort of randomness that is within that.
Yeah.
And he argued that is where free will allows humans to change the path. And he used this quote, which I really like this quote, and I wish it was, sadly, I wish it was more true than it is, that I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's Dr. King, Martin Luther King said it. It's something like the arc of the moral universe is long, but it always bends towards the righteous way, like being right. And he argued that 10% variability is what shapes the arc of the moral universe, in a morally correct path.
Yeah.
That we're not destined to be terrible, awful people based upon the laws of physics. Like that deviation from the path is what allows humans to advance, which gets me to my third research point. And Chris always gives us grief about getting wonky. And you said last week about we got science nerdy. I was reading this and I thought, I'm going to talk about this, but this is going to be bad. So, as you may or may not know, I minored in Russian in college, right? Mm-hmm. So I read a lot of Russian literature and I labored through a lot of it. And it was some stuff. I mean, it was hard. It was heady stuff.
Yeah.
But one thing that I really liked was this book, The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. And it's about these four brothers, and they are sort of archetypes. Like one's sort of the partier, one is the religious one is the atheist one, and one is the bastard brother, is kind of a combination of everybody and sort of the outcast. There is a piece in this book called The Grand Inquisitor. And in The Grand Inquisitor, so you've got the two brothers, the one who is religious, very religious, and the one who is pretty much an atheist kind of partier. And they're arguing about, does God exist? And they tell this parable. The partier brother tells this parable, the intellectual, he's not really a partier, I'm probably being a little too harsh on that. The intellectual brother, he tells this parable about, what if Jesus came to Spain during the Inquisition? Like how would he be treated by the church, proper church, by the bishops during the Inquisition? What if Jesus was in jail for being a heretic during the Inquisition? How would he answer the questions to convince him that he wasn't a heretic? And it really gets at this idea of, does God exist? Do we need God? Do we control our life? It just really gets at all these ideas. So I went back and read it.
Man, that sounds like that would be deep reading it in English, much less Russian.
Oh, I didn't read it in Russian. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, are you kidding? No way. No, the funny part about this. So when I was a freshman in college, I was like, because when I was a senior in high school, I read Crime and Punishment, which is also by Dostoevsky. And I loved it. It was just a fascinating book. Fascinating ideas about you can commit a crime and get away with it if you just act like you didn't do anything wrong. I'm not that person, but it was fascinating to me. So I took Russian thinking, I want to read Crime and Punishment in Russian. Yeah, no, that never happened. 4 years of Russian. I know the most sophisticated thing I ever read was this book by Chekhov. It was a book. That's crazy. It's a play, a short story called The Lady and the Dog by Chekhov in Russian. And that was like a real struggle to read it in Russian. But no, you're right. Reading it in English is really tough. And so I went back and read that chapter or that passage today and read some, analysis of it. And it really does get at this idea about God, and do we have a divine path that is set for us, or is it more divine to have a path that's not set for us, that we have to operate on our own, independent of this divine intervention? So
what if God is a spark in us? What if we all have a spark of God in us? And we create our world just as God created the world.
As it would be in the analysis of the Grand Inquisitor, one of the common interpretations is the parable's making the case that it doesn't matter if God exists, because humans created the idea of God for a moral good, and so therefore that is God. The need for a moral good, or the creation of a moral good, is God. And so therefore God exists by need, as opposed to by this sort of executive old guy in the clouds kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I always found to be a very interesting thing, which I think gets to your point about there is a humanistic, compassionate need which is, if you want to call it, the spark of God. So,
Yeah.
but
I want to bring this up before I forget it, because you talked about crime. Okay, so in the legal system, kids are treated differently than adults. Does that mean the legal system thinks kids don't have free will like adults do to make these decisions?
yeah, I mean, you would conclude that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it seems like it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you're throwing out the 6-year-old or the 6-month-old Scott crawling in the argument, right?
I think it's instinct. Yeah, you just you crawl before you walk. It's instinctual. But it's free will instinctual.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've always, and this kind of gets back to the whole Dostoevsky as an example of, I've always been, philosophically, I've always been somewhat of what I think of as an existentialist. This idea that, that we exist and you have every opportunity for every choice you could possibly make, but you have to accept the consequences for that choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to say that to kids all the time, because like, well, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, well, you don't have to do your homework. Like, you don't have to. But
that's something that you develop as you mature and you age through life. I mean, you think of a small child, just spontaneity and, imagine friends, Yeah. And I had a pink elephant friend, and so there's like this total freedom in the outer world, and then you kind of lose that, but you don't really have this self-awareness inside. And then as you develop a self-awareness and the things you're talking about, you kind of lose those pieces you had as a kid. The spot.
Well, in what way? What do you mean?
Well, if we don't get what we want for dinner as an adult, we're not going to cry. We're just not completely, wear our emotions on our sleeve. We're not totally, probably don't have the same imagination. So you kind of shift over from, you develop this self-awareness and this ability to rationalize and things of that inside of you as you get older, right? And
I guess I'm lost on the connection there.
Well, I'm thinking is that some way connected to free will? I just keep thinking about this idea of, is free will something we develop as we get older? And if that's the case, it's not something that we just possess. It's something. Is it something that may not be as true as we think it is? I'm making no sense.
No, you are. No, I see what you're saying. I mean, I guess I could see it both ways, because it's also like at a very young age, everything is a possibility. You've not learned any restrictive consequences for your actions. Yeah. So if everything is a possibility, isn't that the ultimate expression of free will? I can do whatever I want. Yeah. And then you suddenly realize that if you leave the yard, A, you might get your ass whipped. Yeah. B, it's kind of scary out there out of the yard, And so you decide, you get a negative feedback of like, I don't think I want to leave the yard. Maybe I want to be within 15 feet of the house instead of 50 feet of the house, But that is, you had the free will. And I guess that to me reinforces what I said earlier. You had the free will. You gathered information, you assessed opportunities, and you decided to do A or B. So
I'm thinking back now to our social media episode.
Okay.
So, do these personal feeds that we get from so many places now, Do they put us more on a track?
Oh, I absolutely believe they do. I think that is they
take away free will.
Yeah, it is the dumbing. It is the dumbing down of your experience. It restricts your opportunity to get informed and make decisions. And when it's done well, you don't even know it.
And then if you can take that a little bit further, if an algorithm can predict your behaviors and the choices you want to see, do you really have free will? Is that freedom? That's the opposite, right? If you're, I mean, that's pretty much predetermined. If they can guess what you want to see and give you these personalized feeds, so it's kind of like a deterministic loop.
Right. And that's where, to me, the less I have to interact with that network, the better off I am. I'd rather get misinformed on my own than informed via a pipeline. Yeah. And I would just rather get 10 pieces of information, 7 of which I'm going to dismiss, as opposed to 3 pieces of information. And you said this when we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes this echo chamber.
Yeah.
Like if you only get 3 pieces of information and it tells you everything you think you already thought, then it's just going to validate what you thought. You're never going to think about, oh, well, maybe it could be this other thing, or maybe a possible explanation is something totally different. Yeah, that's some scary. To me, that is some scary stuff, and I fear that's a lot where we are right now as a society.
It's kind of like being put in a prison cell.
Yeah,
your freedom's being taken away by what you perceive to be choices you're making.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks they're making choices by scrolling through their Facebook page and their Facebook feed. Yeah. You're not making a choice. So that's been predetermined by an algorithm based on what it knows about your behaviors.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like that's an argument that we don't have free will, or that we're losing free will, or that we're giving free will away.
Yeah, people are willingly forfeiting that.
That's
the part from me.
Yeah. If you've got the awareness to know that you're making that choice, but it might not be willfully. If you're just blindly I like Facebook, I like Instagram. This is my entertainment. These are the choices I make to scroll.
I would argue that's a willful choice.
Yeah.
I don't participate in those things.
Yeah.
I can't tell you last time I was on Facebook. I don't have an Instagram account. Maybe that makes me seem like some old man Luddite, but so be it. I'm an old man Luddite, But if I want to know like what makes a good Manhattan, I'll research it and talk to bartenders of questionable moral.
Ones that don't tell you their tips added on. Yeah, so I just had a thought come into my head, and you just made me laugh it away. What was it? Oh, shoot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, I totally lost it.
Did I make you, or did you choose to?
I just had a thought pop into my head, and I lost it. Daggone it. It was probably the best thought of the podcast.
Is it about algorithms? And
it had to do with
media control and choosing to participate?
Yeah, all along those lines. But
all right, what are you drinking this evening?
Knob Creek. That's one of my go-tos. Yeah. Just basic Knob Creek. It's good. I like Knob Creek.
Yep. Yeah, it's good.
What do you have in your Manhattan?
Eagle Rare 10.
Oh.
And then I added I use my Italian vermouth and a new twist. I'm adding Liqueur 43, which is a Spanish liqueur that I read we had the experience where somebody talked us into adding a new liqueur to our Manhattan recipe. So I'm trying that. It's pretty yummy. Yeah. Pretty good.
I'll sometimes have that 43 just neat after dinner. It's like like a dessert. Super
So
sweet.
you drink it? Do you drink it chilled or just room temperature? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't like chilled drinks. I don't even like cold water. I drink water room temperature. Really? Yeah.
Interesting. So when you traveled in Europe, did you drink beer at like room temperature? Did you drink much beer over there?
Yeah. I think it was cold. Yeah. I drink beer cold.
That's one thing I really liked about.
I'm not a beer drinker anymore.
And I'm not much either, but when we were in England years ago, I really liked that the beer was served at like 55 as opposed to ice cold chilled. I thought it was really tasty that way.
Yeah.
So
if it's a good beer.
Yeah.
It's got to be a good beer. Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't want to have a warm Bud Light.
No, those beers, their only value is super cold.
Yeah.
That's the only value. Super cold, cutting the grass. I'll have one of those after it's super cold.
Well, free will is fun to talk about. And I definitely think we have free will, but I also think that there's a lot of interconnectedness in this world that we don't understand. And I think it impacts us all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I can't deny that I can't say, oh, that's absolutely false. Because, I can think of countless examples. Just you and I. Think about the times our lives have intersected.
Yeah.
And, whatever. I don't know how that happened. I can't begin to say that was supposed to be or odd or, in line with whatever.
So Thomas Aquinas, what does he think? He thinks that we're giving free will by the grace of God.
Right.
Did you read anything about, I'm sure he thinks God is all-knowing and knows what choices we're going to make, right?
Not really.
Really? Okay.
He is all-knowing, but he doesn't. But I think that's where he argues, again, I'm by no means an expert on this, the free will is given to you, but not determined for you or known of you. Yeah. It truly is in the it is in the, like you said, it's in this continuum. It's in the spectrum of you get to choose.
Yeah.
Not you're going to choose, this certain path. It's you get to choose, and it's given, that choice is given to you by the grace of God. So one little piece back to that, I found, and maybe this is because, I grew up Catholic and I studied physics. I found those two arguments, both the grace of God argument that Aquinas makes and the sort of rules of the universe that Tyson makes, I found them curiously similar.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because they both are about, you get to play in the ball field, but the rules of the ball field exist.
Yeah.
And I just found that really interesting. And I don't know, like, on the one hand, I was sort of comforted by that because they sort of fit both sort of facets of my mindset. Like, I'm a faithful person. I'm not really religious. And I appreciate and understand physics to a certain extent. And so the fact that both of those things support this idea, I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting to me.
And didn't Neil deGrasse Tyson, is it deGrasse or deGrasse?
I don't know.
Didn't he come at the end of that and shake the guy's hand and say, and by the way, I think we have free will at the end of the podcast?
Not the one I saw, no.
Oh, he didn't?
I don't think so. No,
maybe I'm remembering that wrong. But I thought it was it an Asian guy? Was the other physicist?
Yeah.
That's the one.
And maybe I didn't watch to the end. It's very likely I didn't watch to the very end. So yeah.
It was good. It was entertaining. It wasn't over. It wasn't over your head. It was something anybody could watch.
Yeah, right. It's just very So I don't know. So I appreciated that part of it. I thought the parallel between those two arguments was very similar. So
yeah, let's get Chris in here and see what he has to add about free will, if anything. Did we come to any conclusions?
I think we both agree we don't live a predetermined life.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
We probably have, I don't know, I'd say we're pretty close on the path.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
What's up, Chris? Good
What's
vibes.
going on, guys?
Good vibes. Like the hat, man.
Good vibes. I love the hat. You know, that's why you should go to the Peddler's Mall every now and again. You find something like a good vibes hat.
Oh, man.
Out.
You're not wearing a used hat, surely.
No, it had tab. No, I'm not there. Like, I still don't understand how people buy other people's shoes. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. This was a new hat.
I've seen used underwear for sale before.
But you know, I go to the Peddler's Mall for two reasons.
If you want to wear used underwear, it's free will.
And what attracts me to the Peddler's Mall is amazing music. I don't know what the channel is, but it's like yacht rock on fire. I love it. And the people watching is top notch, man. It's top notch.
If you like the Peddler's Mall, you'd like antique stores.
Yeah, we do antique stores. That's one of the things Tiffany and I do, and Kate and I have started to do that quite a bit too, and throw in a Goodwill every now and again. You know, you never know what you're going to find. But guys, I got to admit, I was scrambling because I misunderstood, man. I watched the director's cut of Free Willy this week because I thought this was Free Willy. I thought we were going just mammals that swim, and I blew it. So I was like, oh my God, I got to change my whole mindset. The director's cut was 3.5 hours long.
Did he jump over the dam in the director's
cut? He did. And well, in the director's cut, he also kicked the wheel out a little bit and then brought it back in.
Well, Free Willy definitely didn't have free will, did he?
Well, you got to wonder, was that like, you know, they were trying to save this whale. So it made sense to me. There's Free Willy. They named him Will on purpose. But anyway, so, hey, you know, Brad, I did the first date, Fatal Attractions. I can't top that, but I'm right behind you, I think. One of our first dates back in 1998 or whenever Saving Private Ryan came out.
Oh,
we
wow.
Saving Private Ryan. And quickly after that, I learned the two things she cannot handle. Tiffany hates blood and guts, and she doesn't like war movies. So for 3 hours, I had her though, and we watched Saving Private Ryan. Bad first date.
I didn't make it through that movie either. Saving Private Ryan. I've never seen it. I couldn't make it through it.
I love that movie.
I can't watch that. I had Sons of Anarchy, the motorcycle show.
Yeah.
Did you all like that?
No,
I never watched it. I don't know.
I tried to watch it because I couldn't do it.
I had a horrible dream after watching that. I had to quit watching it. I just went up, I broke in this guy's house, and I walked. This is terrible. And I walked up to him while he was asleep in his bed. I didn't know anything about him, and I shot him in the head.
Gosh, man. Free will?
And it was from watching Sons of Anarchy.
Absolutely.
I went to bed right after watching a couple episodes of that, and I was like, I ain't watching this crap. That can't be good for you. It can't be good for you. If your brain's still processing all that crap, making you have dreams like that, there's no way it can be good for you.
I told you. We talked about it. Chemistry. Just leftover biochemicals.
You took the love of your life and your future wife to see Fatal Attraction on the. I mean, I don't know. Maybe free will doesn't exist for you. Why are you doing this over and over? I don't know. Hey,
all right, before we get going, we got to give a grade. Grade.
Oh wait! I got a couple things here I want to throw out. So I got a couple cool little quotes that I thought were good on free will. It says, "Man is condemned to be free." And the point of that is, because even if you don't choose not to choose, well, you just made a choice, is the whole point of that. So one way or the other, you make a choice in life, one way or the other. My favorite, though, is we must believe in free will. We have no choice.
That's a good one. Who said that?
I didn't write down some dude who wasn't famous, so who cares? But here's my question. Here's my question for you guys. All right. I love this question. And I thought of it all by myself. I didn't even chat GPT it. So there you go. So here you go. If I rewound your week, 1 week, and your whole week was on video, you had no idea. Now you're playing that same week out again. How close would those movies be?
To what we remember? Or
so no.
To what actually happened?
You're getting two lives. Well, you just lived a week.
Okay.
It's on video. I'm taking you back. It's rewinding one exact week.
Oh, so we're going to live
7 days
the week
on the
again.
dot. You're living that week again. You got the free will. It's there. how aligned are those movies when we watch them back?
Hmm.
And we're unaware of what we did before?
Yeah. No, yeah, you're unaware. It's not like you're there and you're like, I'm going to try this differently. You literally are just living the moment. Are you making the exact same choices every time, all week long?
All right, here's what I think.
How does that change your week?
If everybody's week in the whole world, if the whole world went back and lived the week again, maybe. But if just you went back and the whole world kept moving on, it would be way different.
You're saying if everyone had to do over, it would be the same?
No, it could be. Maybe.
Yeah, to me, that's an n factorial problem. No, I think it'd be just crazy combinations and permutations. All these different changes, because you choose to do this and you wouldn't go camping and I would call you and Chris would come over and we'd drink Knob Creek instead of McKenna and we'd drink too much and Tiffany'd yell at us and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Oh, so I didn't look at it that. So you're okay. Yeah. So you're thinking from like 0.0, everything's going to be different all around you, so it's going to impact decisions.
It's what you do.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
It's like Groundhog Day, but you're not aware that you're reliving the same day or the same week.
51st days.
Pure free will. Yeah. It's more like that.
About 70% the same.
Yeah, I think the way I thought about it is I think like things like I would go to work on Monday. That's going to happen, and the schedule may stay pretty much the same. But the small things that change stuff, like would I forget to get my wallet and have to go back home every day? Would that be something that wouldn't happen some days? It's just, it would change. And like sometimes the smallest of changes, it's just so interesting, changes what your free will may be, what it may become as far as the choices you're making. So it's a crazy thought on how you ended up where you are. If you just go back a week, how different it would be. Look at a lifetime, as far as what that free will is.
Oh, yeah.
I always go back to my Uncle Butch told me this. He says, life is 1% what happens to you, and it's 99% of how you handle it. And that's kind of where I land on free will. Things happen you can't control. But for the most part, you got free will to choose your actions as far as how it goes. But not always. But I do kind of think I love having free will because everything you do, from what I'm wearing tomorrow, do I iron tonight? The stupidest and dumbest and smallest of things that you don't think will have an effect, you're still making that choice. So it's such an interesting topic. You guys were all over and hit it at a lot of different angles. And I was just like, does Neil deGrasse just constantly do interviews and podcasts? Because I must see he's on like 100 different things. I'm really like listening to the guy. I need to find out what you guys are talking about. But yeah, y'all ready to grade?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
How are we going to grade free will? What's the rubric here? What are we grading?
I'd say the level we feel it's. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm trying to.
So are you thinking like free will, like an A+? It's free will. Absolutely, do whatever I want. And an F is
we got complete free will. I guess an A+ B, we got complete free will. F would be we're deterministic.
You're a cog.
Predetermined.
Yeah.
Well, and we're doing this individually, but we all worked at a school with high free reduced lunch. Think about what free will is to some of our kids that we are used to having that come in where the world's controlling them. The world happens to them. They don't control it. We're coming from a different angle here. So when we grade this, it's from our lives. One of our
but we are now. But I can tell you, I mean, not to like sing Poor Pitiful Me song, but I think it's safe to say that my life was a lot more like the kids at our school than growing up in your respective lives. I mean, I was very much controlled by external parameters that I had nothing to do with, and I had to navigate. So, I mean, I think I carry that with me. And I mean, it's been a great liberating thing to get to a point where I do control a large part of my life.
Well, if you believe we have total free will, complete free will, and you think about a prisoner in a prison cell, solitary confinement, there's not a lot of external choices there, but they still, it goes back to what you just talked about, and your Uncle Butch telling you 99% what, 1% what happens to you, 99% how you handle it. You still got the free will to, handle things one way or another.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah. Well, I'll start since you guys did all the talking, and after listening to you guys, I'm going with the Brad Weston B+ on this because I do feel like I'm in control of my life. And, but things happen that you don't control. And B+, A-, I believe free will it's a gift that you have that may not get your end game every time, but for the most part, you do control your life. You can't control everything that happens, but you do control your reaction.
Yep. So I think we're given a lot of parts, a lot of materials, and we've got the free will to do what we can with those and make what we want with those and create the life we want with those. So I'm going to change it up on you. I'm going to go B-. I'm going to go a little bit over middle ground. I think there's a whole lot that we don't understand that impacts us more than we like to think, because I think humans have this ego that makes us really want to think that we're something more than we are. And I think there's so much that we don't understand that impacts us. But I still think moment-to-moment decisions and what we're going to do with these things, these cards that are dealt to us, is something that we have as we go through life.
Yep.
B-.
There's just so many moving parts.
Yep.
I think if I'm grading it for me personally, I'm going to go like an A-. I think if I'm grading it for me as a member of the human race and humanity in this world, I'm probably like a C+.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah,
I understand that.
I can't disagree with anything. That makes sense.
Are you on your third cocktail over there? Is that why?
It's I can't drink straight bourbon while I listen to you guys. Otherwise, I have to do this on the couch. I got to sit the glass away, so I have to reach. But yeah, I managed to stay under 3 for the podcast, so I can be.
So where we at on our tangents, Chris?
Okay, so I have 3. Okay. I like them. So here's what I got. You guys talked about Neil deGrasse and laws of the universe came up, and that kind of led into morals. And I thought, man, wouldn't that be laws of the universe / morals be an interesting thing to talk about? Because, is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? Is there an acceptable way, an unacceptable way? We talked about God a little bit. Like, I don't think we can get into whether God is real or not. Nobody wants that. I don't. But, things like, do intentions matter more than outcomes? How do morals change over time in our lifetimes? Like, we can see the changes now as far as what the bumper stickers are on cars compared to what we were used to seeing when we were growing up, and what used to be allowed on TV back in the day compared to now. So, just examples of laws of the universe / morals, and looking way back in time, it'd be interesting to look at that. So morals / laws of the universe. 2. All right, I call this one invisible influences. And this came because for the however many podcasts y'all have had consecutive time that Bruce Springsteen has come up on the podcast. But, it got me thinking. It got me thinking because, like, Scott, Bruce Springsteen has had a huge impact on your life, and in a positive way. And honestly, your love of Bruce Springsteen, other than my mom and dad going to his concert in like 84 at Freedom Hall, it's like...
I was there, by the way.
Okay, I can believe it. It's just totally, I have so much more respect for the guy and the artist he is because of you. But this invisible influence. You're never going to meet Bruce and hang out with Bruce. You're not going to call Bruce. Probably not going to happen. But what an influence.
I was hoping this would be my avenue.
But, hey, if he becomes a listener, I'm telling you. But anyway, maybe this next podcast can do it, because it would basically mean you talking about Bruce for 45 minutes to 4 hours, however Joe Rogan long you go. But for me, I could say, like, it could be my grandpa. Eddie Johnstone died in 1974. And of course, I met him for 3 years, but I don't remember any of that. But I could tell you countless stories of people coming to talk to me about him and how he's inspired me as a principal and educator for 42 years to be the kind of person that I want to be and to leave that kind of legacy that he has by treating people the way he was. So an invisible influence. I'm never going to meet my grandpa. But man, influence. You're never going to meet Bruce, at least in a meaningful way, where y'all are hanging out and bouncing stuff off each other. But invisible influence.
I heard he's a Yankees fan. That'll be hard to get past. I'm just saying.
Well, that's probably not as hard as like a Cubbies fan. But we managed. We've managed.
Hey, so we got over the Steelers thing. We're okay.
And I finished sports scorecasting, and the large sample size is definitely coming into play right now. The Cubs are struggling, but we'll just do 162 games to see what happens. And then the third is just family, and it kind of goes back to, like, we're thinking about the students that we had at old FHS that come from a totally different spectrum of families and support that they've had, and how much of the world they're in control of. And think about it. We talked about earlier, y'all were talking about free will and when do you learn it? And I would say, like, I was thinking when you guys were talking about that, I think I still have students that are still struggling to understand what free will is, and that they have this ability to have more free will in their life. But that's not what they know. So how about family? And the importance of family and how that's changed over the years, as well, as far as going back from, the dad goes to work, the mom stays at home, and what it's turned into now, and just all the aspects of family. So, in review, laws of the universe, morals, not just talking about what's right or wrong. We're not going to argue if God's alive, but like how things have changed, what's right, what's acceptable, what's wrong, what's unacceptable, and do intentions matter over outcomes? I mean, morals are really, with social media, I think everything's like, there's no shock value anymore. You've seen everything. So how has that changed our morals? 2, the invisible influence. And I think that's huge. I think anybody can talk about that, because it might be Bruce Springsteen. It might not be a person. It might be something like wrestling for Brad, or it might be something for sports, or it could be so many things. That something that you can't really grapple, you can't get hold of it, and you're never going to meet them if it's a person, but it's had a huge influence on who you are today. And then last one more time, family. Starting in different places, how the family has changed over the years. And then, of course, there's always the wild card, guys. If you got one from the past we want to dig up. But those 3, you guys stayed on focus real well tonight, man. It really makes it hard for me. So there you go. You only got 3, not 4.
Especially when you watch Free Willy to prepare.
That's all right.
3.5 hours, director's cut. I watched the
director's
outtakes.
cut exists.
Oh, my God.
Was it 4K, by the way? Was it 4K?
Oh, no. I watched it on 3 VHSs. It was 3 tapes.
What do you think, Scott?
Well, I like the invisible influences. I think that's that has a lot of
that's interesting. Yeah,
curious connections. When Chris, before he said family, one of the things that I was thinking of, because we all have this, is like sibling relationships.
Yeah,
like which is kind of the family idea. When you talk about students and the idea of family, that was a different tract on that. But I was thinking of the idea of like sibling relationships, and which also layers into that hidden influences, invisible influences. How much do siblings, I'm the youngest of 5. Chris, you're the younger, right? And
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest? Oh,
I'm the oldest. But
I'm the oldest.
Here's the one thing we know. It's we've not only been the kids, we've also been the parents.
Yeah.
And you really talked about it a lot. You talked about your mom tonight, your sister, you talked about, babies. We talked about a lot of different family. And I'm just like, man, and just talking about your family was different than my family, and know Brad's family real well. And it's just interesting because we can come from two different perspectives on this as far as growing up in a different time and then actually being parents of kids that are basically all now the same age range, from early 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. So what do you think, Brian?
I think it's three good ones.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I like invisible influences. It'd be interesting to see where that goes. Morals interest me because, living by moral values can be very dangerous, depending on geography or a lot of things, religion or, so that could be interesting to talk about. I'm just thinking like the dangers of living by moral values. Who decides? Yeah.
That's a good question. But what about the dangers of not living by any moral values?
It depends. It depends on That's because you think your moral values are good, and you think these other persons might be bad.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question because, my morals are my morals, and somebody else may have different morals. Sometimes sometimes it's acceptable to go to the extreme. But if Scott's morals are like, well, I think I can murder somebody that cuts me off on the expressway, I'm probably going to have a problem with his morals lined up with my morals. So
I think you have some real road rage issues we need to maybe unpack. I don't know if this is the place, but
he said he outgrew them, but they sure do come up a lot.
Next time I pour you a nice one and we're sitting by the patio
I just feel bad for those road rages.
Right now, I'm bringing it up. Next patio fire, I'm bringing it up.
For those that know, I've been driving Jefferson Hill for a year and 5 months, and I've learned to just settle in, man. Settle in.
So, Brad, I don't know. I mean, I like the unknown. So I hadn't thought about the moral, but I do like when you say like the idea of how does one assess a good moral decision? Because if I was raised under Sharia law, I have a very different perspective of moral decisions.
That's kind of where I'm coming from. Yeah.
So maybe that's good. Okay. I could get. I don't know. I don't know where to go, but that's the adventure of this.
Let's see what happens. All right.
Yeah, kind of like morals / laws of the universe is like right and wrong. Like it's different in different places and different times.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
So we'll go with that and see where it takes us.
Morals.
Next week I'll be in Louisville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I'll probably be at Nolan Lake doing this on a laptop computer next week, so it'll look a little different.
Well, and you're going to be doing it with no water in the lake and docks hanging from cables.
Yep. I heard the water's way down.
Yeah, it's not good.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody, for listening. See you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.